Good morning. Happy Monday morning. It is 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, July 8th, 2024. And let me start off by saying it has been a whirlwind of a past 2 weeks. A whirlwind in every sense possible that you can think of, on top of tropical storm, tropical storm, Hurricane Beryl, now finally planted inland over southeast Texas, slowly but surely wrapping around up towards the north. Headed right towards, not right, I should say, but headed towards the Galveston, Houston area. We had a tornado warning just issued a couple moments ago. We're looking at my radar Omega right now. Since we actually have this kind of data, we can take an up-close and personal shot of this storm, and that's it. That's that. The worst conditions are unfolding as we speak in Texas, and they're going to persist throughout the day today. We have a long day ahead of us out there if you reside in eastern and especially southeastern Texas. From Nacogdoches, it looks like Jacksonville, Texas, Palestine, however you pronounce it, all the way down to just to the outer periphery of Port Lavaca, Victoria. You can see where the hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings exist. Flash flood warnings are in effect, and to tell you the truth, guys, I'm thankful this storm is over with. I'm thankful for a number of reasons. First and foremost, this was an anomaly of a long tracker system to start off the 2024 hurricane season. It is July 8th, and we've already had our first Category 5 on the game board, and we're clearly seeing a bit more of an impactful hurricane season as we predicted earlier on back in January, February, and March, and even before that when we were still rolling through the holiday season of 2023. We have a Category 1 hurricane making its way inland over eastern Texas, affecting very, very major populated large metropolitan areas, unfortunately. So there's a lot of people in harm's way. Flash flooding is going to be the biggest concern. Flooding of all shapes and sizes are going to be the biggest concern, to include the storm surge that has been brought ashore along the Gulf coastline from Port Lavaca through to Matagorda, I think the name is. Let me go ahead and zoom in so we can see. So we were close. We were East Matagorda. There we go. So we were very close in our prediction. You know what? I mean, I would almost say that we were just about spot on, to tell you the truth, because here's Galveston and here's Houston, here's Corpus Christi. Somebody unfortunately messaged me on one of my other social media platforms and said that they were told to shelter in place, close businesses down, and hide, or shelter, I should say, down in Corpus Christi. And I said, somebody unfortunately let you down, because we've been bullseyeing between Corpus Christi and Galveston for a long time, and truthfully, looking at where Matagorda Bay is right there, we literally hit it. We hit it, and that was of no assist from National Hurricane Center. That was from no assist of anybody else. This was all internal to our community, and we hit it. We said right in between, and that's pretty much exactly where the center came ashore, and so we did it. We verified this forecast 100%, and I'm very grateful that we can finally see this come to an end for our B storm. It's going to be a long hurricane season if we have to do battle with this type of stuff throughout the rest of the hurricane season. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to get into all that. Thank you very much for the few of you tuning in. I know we're not going to have a very big crowd this morning. That's okay. We have a lot of chasers and a lot of folks intercepting down there. I looked at prices and I was ready to head out there, but to tell you the truth, given the situation and the last-minute-ness of this hurricane, I didn't feel the desire. I didn't think it was extremely worth going down there just yet. I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to bide my time. And I also wanted to take the Evo as well for our chase vehicle. So that's why I'm not out there right now. But still, we have a lot of folks out there streaming, a lot of folks chasing. So if you'd like to go over to some of their coverage, absolutely, by all means, do so. But you can see Beryl did, in fact, start to intensify last night. We still have a very broad eye, no noticeable eye wall, kind of sort of towards the east and northern half of the system itself. We have a bit of an eye wall, but all intents and purposes, truthfully, because of how broad this circulation is and the smaller mesovortices we have within this center, I'm not going to classify it as an eye wall, just because we don't have that very, very defined ring of very high reflectivities, core winds, and so on and so forth, however you would textbook describe an eye wall, but that's neither here nor there. Lots and lots and lots of heavy rainfall. It is going to remain in effect for another 6 to 8 hours, if not even beyond that, with all these tendril feeder bands being wrapped up around the south and east side of this system. These are going to be where your tornadoes are likely located, to tell you the truth. These bands are looking fairly impressive, and these are the ones that are fast moving and wrapping into what's called the convergent point of the cyclone. So if you see our centers here, and if you were to streamline the winds, you'd see that they're flowing in this sort of fashion like so around the center, and as this inflow along the south side comes up as fast as it is, getting pulled in by the lowest point in the winds around Beryl, notice what happens to our wind field here. There's a lot of convergence right in through here, which is probably why we had our tornado warning already down in this general quadrant of the system, and I do think that tornado threat is definitely going to persist for everybody down in this neck of the woods. It's going to be an east side tornado event with this system if there are multiple funnels. I've had a lot of people asking on other social media platforms, are these going to be dangerous tornadoes? Every tornado in of itself is dangerous, so to speak, but if you're asking strong, typically you don't see strong tornadoes with a tropical cyclone. You can. It's not impossible. It's just the likelihood is much lower than if you had a supercell or a quasi-linear line like we saw during severe weather season and so on and so forth. These are going to be very fast spin-ups rotating quickly around the system, induced by the overall spin produced by our tropical cyclone. So they're going to be fast-moving, they're going to be short-lived, and they're not going to be as strong or definitive as we saw during the likes of April, May, and back in June towards the tail end of severe season. But this is it. This is going to be the final hoorah. Within the next 12 to 18 hours, I'd imagine we're going to get our final advisory for Beryl, and this thing's just going to become a remnant low, being fully absorbed by our trough and cold front down at the surface, and this is going to be a rainmaker and a storm producer from Texas all the way up to the southern or the lower Great Lakes. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how that manifests itself. For everybody else in Texas, you're not really seeing too much. I've also been getting questions asked about, I think someone in the chat, as a matter of fact, just right now asked about, Christine asking about Dallas. Dallas is good to go. This system is going to continue to move up like this and get pulled away as that trough in the frontal system you can see up here towards the left-hand side of the screen comes down. Here comes Weather Center Willow coming to join us. Excuse me, mamas, we're on live stream right now. You can come sit down right here. So there's the front. That's what's going to be pushing this further and further towards the north and northeast. Now, I know it's moving fairly slow right now, still not looking at anything catastrophic or extremely disastrous with this. There's been a lot of comparisons drawn to stronger hurricanes that have moved through here. We don't want to take this lightly. This is still a Category 1 with winds gusting between 90 to 100 plus miles an hour, closest to the center and in your strongest feeder bands. But as this front gets closer and our trough can really pick it up, get it out of that neutral point in the winds, then we're going to see it rapidly pick up speed and accelerate off towards the northeast, bringing all that rain and severe thunderstorm activity with it. But everybody further off to the east, Killeen, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Abilene, San Angelo, even San Antonio, we're really not going to get very much from this at all. If you look at the radar site here, we're using the Round Rock radar site here, it looks like, or the Austin radar site. Here's San Antonio. You can see that there's pretty much nada going on down there. The left rim of the system is far off towards your east, and even Corpus Christi really hasn't seen very much of anything with this. Tyler Mack, I missed you guys as well. Definitely, I missed you guys. I was thinking about you, but I had homework to do, and truthfully, with as much rigmarole I've been dealing with behind the scenes, I figured I'll just go ahead and pump out a long track segment, or however it was called. One Nation Weather said it perfectly, and long-form content, and kind of call it a day from there. We're going to go ahead and start to recharge our batteries, which, while we get into that, I'll just let you guys know in advance that we are still going to continue our content. We are still going to produce videos, so please don't hit unsubscribe. I think because we've dropped the consistency in our live streams, folks got a little comfortable with 2 times a day. Those are for high traffic periods. Those are for high volume periods with intense weather activity ongoing. But the general rhythm here is going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And once Beryl is all said and done, we're going to go back to our Monday, Wednesday, and Friday tropical updates until things get a little bit more busy. Then we'll be back at the helm for more continuous coverage. So please don't hit unsubscribe. I've been seeing some people doing that. I'm not too sure why. I don't know if it's because of other channels or whatnot, but hang tight. I'm not going to just disappear on you, okay? We just got to taper the content down a little bit because there's not as much to talk about. Here's the latest on Beryl. So as of 7 o'clock Central, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're at 75-mile-an-hour winds. We are right there on the threshold of Tropical Storm Category 1 hurricane strength, and we have started the filling process. So we are already weakening. We were up to, I think, 80 or 85 miles an hour at the previous advisory. Central pressure was just down somewhere around 975-ish millibars, and we're already starting that weakening process. The middle of the central pressure is starting to rise, which means this system is weakening. Still moving fairly slow, 12 miles an hour towards the north. This is going to pick up speed as we go through time, okay? So it's not going to just be chilling, marinating out there, dumping rain and severe weather down for you guys, or keeping the winds elevated for a day or two. It's going to be gone within 12-ish or hours as that trough picks it up and begins to get it embedded within that flow around it and then eject it out of the AOR. On the positive side, if you look, this is going to be our 7-day outlook. We are quiet. All was quiet on the Atlantic tropical basin, the Atlantic tropical front. We're not looking at anything for the next 7 to 14 days, to tell you the truth. We're going to be on a break, and this time for real. I know there were folks out there in the past, in the last 2 weeks towards the end of June, saying that we were shut down. No, this time we are shut down, and I can very comfortably and confidently say that. We're still going to be tracking some things out there in the Atlantic, but nothing of major concern. We're just going to continue to watch for our Lesser Antilles as these weak waves try to make their way across the MDR into the Eastern Caribbean. And the main reason I mention that is just because I know folks down there in the windwards are recovering, and we don't need any heavy rainfall or any kind of even substandard tropical impacts from a wave or anything like that. We have lots of African dust out there, so that's also going to help to keep things very quiet. Here's our latest forecast track, and as you can see, this thing's really going to pick up speed. So right now we're moving fairly slow, 12 miles an hour to the north. It's been its forward progress for an extended period of time, but if you notice, it is 9 o'clock in the morning right now. We're going to go from here to the Louisiana, like pretty much the Texarkana area by 1 o'clock this morning, and then in another 12 hours, it's going to be moving through Arkansas, and then finally, as it gains latitude, gets absorbed by our trough just upstream of it, we're going to be rapidly accelerating off towards the northeast. I don't think... I've been seeing this on social media as well. People are just going to grab hold of this system and hold on to it for as long as possible. Pay no attention to this, okay? This is not going to be Tropical Depression Beryl all the way up towards the Midwest. You're not going to have Beryl in Ohio, Beryl in Michigan. If you guys look, the black-filled dot here, the black indication here, the color coding with the D indicates tropical cyclone. So it could still be a remnant tropical low moving through Arkansas, but then the moment that color turns white, extratropical, non-tropical, it is not a tropical cyclone anymore. It will lose its name, and it'll be a remnant low with lots of rainfall and some winds associated as it moves through the Ohio, Mississippi valleys and into the lower Great Lakes, the Midwest. So don't panic. Nobody be alarmed. I'm already seeing, unfortunately, people are taking to social media and mentioning Beryl's coming to the Great Lakes, and that's not what's going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. We're going to get some rain from it, and there's going to be some enhanced activity, but the main bulk of our tropical activity is going to stay down in here as it continues to wash itself out and then eventually pick up jet support fronts and then accelerate towards the northeast. Here's a look at the winds right now. You can see we are still seeing gusty hurricane force winds on the east side of this system. It is an east and northeast side loaded storm. We did pick up a little bit more symmetry in it, so we are starting to see hurricane force gusts, not sustained winds bleeding around the backside to the west and southwest. You can see Port Lavaca sitting just underneath tropical depression gusts, El Campo at 55, Bay City at 57, and then all of our hurricane conditions are just along the immediate coastline, pulling up towards the greater Houston metropolitan area. I mentioned it yesterday on my TikTok, and I'm going to mention it here as well. Anywhere in the local area of Houston, regardless of a suburb, a neighborhood, etc., whether you're in the northwest, the northeast, the southeast, or the southwest, you're going to feel this storm, okay? I had a number of people asking about this location in Houston, this location in Houston, this location in Houston. Remember, this is not a severe thunderstorm. This is going to be a massive tropical entity. So regardless of where you are, from the Woodlands, Cleveland, Conroe, all the way down to Lake Jackson and back towards the Landfall site, you're going to feel it for quite a while. And then here's a look at our upper level steering pattern. I found a couple of charts, analysis charts, that I think I'm going to use from here on out to forecast with you guys because I like the color coding. I like the fact that we have our contours. The jet stream winds, the upper level winds here are color coded as well. You can see the stronger winds are highlighted by the pink shades, the orange, the dark orange, red shades, and the yellow shades. So you can see where your jet stream is, and you can see the streamlines, which I love for sure. And this is exactly what's going to happen here. So if you remember, I briefed you guys a couple days ago, the neutral point in our winds. You have your northwesterly winds with the trough, you have your southeasterly winds with our ridge, then you have divergent flow on either side, forming that neutral point like so. And if you look, we're headed in. The neutral point is right there. Let me clear the ink and I'll go ahead and draw it with a different color. Your call is right there. It's kind of shrinking because now we're feeling the impacts of Beryl. Beryl's coming in. This is a previously analyzed chart, so this system is right now parked inside that neutral point between our anticyclone or our high-pressure ridge over the southeast and our long-wave trough coming across the Great Plains, exiting the Rocky Mountains, and deepening over the southern plains, which is what kind of picked this thing up and pulled it into Texas to begin with. From here on out, if you look, our jet level winds in the upper levels are going to pick up fairly quickly, so once it gets further towards the north, boom, it's going to get shot out towards the northeast and essentially ripped apart and shredded for all intents and purposes as that trough picks it up and we gain fronts and it turns into a totally different system. Beryl will be no more. It did miss San Antonio. It was going to miss San Antonio unless it came in much further to the south. Why didn't it get stronger than just a Cat 1? Christine, that's because we had a lot of dry air impeding it. So when it went over the Yucatan Peninsula, despite the flat terrain out there, and if you guys have been a long-time follower of my channel, I'm talking a long time, for months now, I like to use the metaphor, from a car standpoint. You ever go to the track or you go watch NASCAR or Indianapolis 500, the Formula One drivers? Those are very high horsepower vehicles, but notice that they can only go so many laps around the track before having to come into the pits or something goes wrong. Same thing with hurricanes. If you have a high horsepower hurricane, if you have a strong hurricane like a Cat 4, a Cat 5, it will only be able to last so long before it blows a head gasket or it springs an oil leak, so on and so forth, and as a result, it'll weaken down. In this case, Beryl came ashore as a major hurricane to the Yucatan, but because it was trying to continue to fire on all cylinders, it lost a lot of its momentum with that land interaction, and because of the warmer waters around the Yucatan, that more or less disoriented where that core was flowing all that energy to keep it strong. It displaced it all across everywhere else, and it kind of asphyxiated the system. So when it came offshore, we lost the core, we lost that vertical stack. Remember, these things are like a stacked pile of plates, and they're teetering. And the moment it gets knocked over, your plates are going to shatter, and in this case, that's exactly what happened. Dry air from our upper low wrapped into it and prevented it from really keeping that organization. If it closed off a lot quicker, then yes, we could have been seeing a Category 2, maybe trying to make a run for Category 3, but no, it kind of just stayed weak because the wind shear to the south, the dry air finally managed to get its way into the center, and yeah. Oh, was it a Cat 2? I had heard reports that it had spiked to 115 miles an hour right as it came ashore. At least that's what I saw on X. I wasn't paying too much attention at that time, but I heard that it had came ashore as a major hurricane, that it suddenly, last update, according to recon data, it had made it up to 115. But either way, we're splitting hairs. 110, it was strengthening as it moved inland, fell apart, never really acquired that vertical stack and that comfortable rhythm of re-intensifying or strengthening until just before making landfall, to where we got that Category 1 threshold exceeded. Here's a look at our 24-hour precip, so I'll go back to the beginning, and as you can see, this is going to be the primary issue going forward. So along the coast, we have our storm surge, we have our hurricane conditions. They are definitely getting the hammer brought down on them across the southeast quadrant of Texas. But from there on in, over the next 6 to 8 hours, we're going to see this system continue to weaken, continue to fill until it is a tropical storm. By the time it turns into a tropical storm, and then eventually tropical depression as it continues towards the northeast quadrant of Texas between the Texarkana, Shreveport, Louisiana, just to the immediate southwest, pushing into Arkansas. Very familiar territory if you watch my reporting from severe weather season. Heavy rain is going to be the talk of the town. The heavy rain and the flood threat is going to be the issue all the way up from eastern Texas through Arkansas, parts of Louisiana, even into getting southeast corner of Oklahoma. We're going to see some very heavy rainfall. That is the last thing to go. To give you another metaphor, they say as boxers get older, they lose their speed, they lose their coordination, they lose their defense, their counter ability, but the power is the last thing to go. And in this case, you can kind of use that same metaphor to describe tropical cyclones. They will lose the speed in terms of the winds. They will lose their forward momentum in terms of how much of a punch they pack further inland versus when they first came ashore. You're going to lose the physics, the inertia, and all that. But the last thing to go is going to be all that rainfall and all that accumulated energy that it brought in. So the rainfall is going to be a continuous threat over the next couple of days. We're not going to see this just rain itself out over eastern Texas and then disappear. You can see our blend of models is indicating anywhere over the next 24 24 hours, we can be seeing between 4 to 6 in general areas, upwards of 6 to 8 inches closest to that eye wall, where the not only core of the storm is going to be moving, but then the wraparound moisture. Don't forget, if we go back to the radar image, you have this gigantic field of precip. And I'll switch the radar again. I'll get us in close. We have this, there goes another tornado warning right in that same general area I'd mentioned, that east-northeast part of the system. So don't forget, we have this huge core of overall rainfall, but we can't discredit these tendrils, these kind of dread-looking features, the jellyfish tentacles, if you will, towards the southern piece of the system coming up and training over that spot. It's going to be like a locomotive just going over the same area, lifting up out of the Gulf of Mexico. So that's also what's going to help to increase our local rainfall totals. We have this huge swath capable of producing anywhere between 4 to 8 inches of rain, but then even as the center drifts towards the north, we have to take into account there's a lot of stuff lingering in the background that we can see that's also going to lift towards the north as well, upping those rainfall totals. So rainfall is definitely going to be a big issue, and it's going to be the recurring issue over the next couple of days, but after 48 hours, we are all clear. In fact, after 36 hours, a large majority of Texas is going to be in the clear. This is going to be for tomorrow as we start the day, or I should say the early morning hours of tomorrow, Tuesday, July 9th. Here's a look at our overall winds. So as you can see, as this system moves inland, I'm not too sure what happened with the HRRR there. We're going to rapidly see the winds diminish. Now, of course, closest to that center, you're going to continue to see anywhere between 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts, sometimes stronger in the stronger thunderstorm bands. But we're going to lose those hurricane conditions within the next 3 to 6 hours, I would imagine. By the time we get another update at 11, if not 2 p.m., at the very latest, we're going to see this lose its hurricane characteristics, and we're just going to continue to see the sustained wind and the gusting winds trend down. It's all downhill from here. Honestly, every single impact is all downhill from here, minus the rain. The rain and the flooding is what you really need to pay close attention to, regardless of where you are in East Texas, Southeast Oklahoma, Arkansas, and even further up, western and central Louisiana. You don't want to be taken out of the equation either. We didn't see a landfall, but there's a lot of moisture that's getting pulled in and pushed in or nudged in by our trough and by this system. And then there's that significant tornado parameter. I wanted to show you guys that one last time so I can show you where the tornado risk is going to persist. Again, you can track this system off of satellite and radar and know exactly where your tornado threat is going to be east and northeast of your center. If you notice, the west side is completely void. This is our system right here. There's your low. That's the center. And if you look, it's all east side loaded in terms of the convergence, in terms of the rotation, the speed shear to give you guys those sudden spin-ups of tornadoes or funnels, tornadic activity to be more generalized. It's going to be the east and northeast side of the system. So as it moves from here to here to here, you can track the tornado threat. It's going to be more or less here, then here, and then here as it continues to lift off. So Arkansas, Louisiana, and the eastern periphery, the eastern border of Texas are going to need to watch for any kind of sudden tornado warnings in your local area. Here's a little bit of a different AOI so you can see through Louisiana. We're not going to discount you guys, and as the system gets nudged further towards the northeast, those SIG-TORM parameters are going to weaken as we move further inland, but it's not going to be gone altogether, so they will diminish as we go through time, but still, Arkansas, Louisiana, East Texas, and even parts of Mississippi, as that system elongates and stretches out and pushes northeast over the next 12 to 18 hours particularly, you're going to want to watch for that sudden spin-up of an occasional funnel or a weak tornado. This is 4Z on Tuesday, so this is midnight tonight. Midnight tonight, we're going to have a small or low-end nocturnal tornado threat from Arkansas, southern half of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. So, Mike, if you're in the chat still, I definitely would say, if anything, funnel clouds or water spouts may still be your biggest concern over anything else. Maybe some pockets of localized heavy rainfall that could get some urban flooding going, but this is still going to be a diminishing system at this point. So, don't be afraid, don't be alarmed, don't be worried. Just kind of watch out for, like I said, that occasional tornado warning. We haven't seen too many on the radar. We have one right there, and there's only been 2 that I've noticed over the last hour or so, maybe more. I haven't been keeping eyes on this radar 110% glued. I will throughout the rest of the day today, but so far, very low-end tornado risk. It's still there, though, so maintain your situational awareness. Now, Where do we go from here? So, we had a lot of hubbub with Beryl. Beryl. This was the Lee of 2024. Lee last year didn't do anything to anybody until it got to Atlantic Canada, but there was so much rigmarole, so much chaos, so much hyperbole across social media, and that system was as fish storm of a fish storm that you could possibly get. We had the infamous Category 6 girl from Florida that got her claim to fame talking about Lee coming to Florida as a Category 6. That didn't happen. Beryl was a far more impactful system, don't get me wrong, but the fear and the unfortunate stress that other sources caused folks in Texas and Louisiana was absurd, and I hope moving forward we can use that as a lesson learned and get better and improve ourselves for when the next one comes, because it is coming. It is coming. It's going to be inevitable. When that happens, we're still a little unclear, but we are on the clock. We are going to be on a break as of tomorrow, if not Wednesday at the very latest. Once we white Beryl from the game board, we are on a break, and then from there we got to re-engage and just start watching trends, watching long-term signals. And that's exactly what I've already been doing. If you look, this is our 200 millibar velocity potential anomaly, or the difference of where we have our sinking air, which is our unfavorable conditions. This would indicate we have lots of convergence, winds coming together in the upper levels, resulting in sinking air. Not good for any kind of tropical development. But then every time you see these little blips here, these indications of green, blue, teal colors, that shows we're going to start getting more openings in our environment from the low levels all the way up to the upper levels for potential development. And another signal you want to watch for, looking at this chart, it may be a little hard to read, we're going across the equator, from west to east across the equator. So furthest left-hand side of the chart is going to be Africa, the Indian Ocean, India, and then Asia, and all of our maritime continents. Over here is going to be where we want to watch for the East Pacific, the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the United States. And if you look, we have a lot of very, very, very aggressive-looking vertical velocities indicating that our Indian Ocean monsoon is going to be hitting full force very soon, alongside our African standing wave, and our easterly jet is going to start to crank out once again, like we saw before Beryl came in, those really robust tropical waves. So take a breath, take a sigh of relief if you were not impacted by Beryl. We are wishing you the best if you were. We still have a long hurricane season left to go, so unfortunately, as callous as this may sound, we're going to have to dust ourselves off and get back to work here very soon, okay? Because you can see, again, our time frame is still the last portion of July. Once we get between the 23rd and the 26th, it's game on once again for the East Pac, the Caribbean, and the greater Atlantic Ocean. How did you say it was going to be before the main development region expected to fire? Was it roughly a month? No, it's actually going to be 2-ish weeks or so, Mike. 2-ish weeks. So it is July 8th. I can't believe it's already July 8th. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like July 4th came and went. It doesn't even feel like it was July 4th. I can't believe how fast time is going. It's almost scary at this point. I'm seeing decorations for Halloween. I'm seeing back-to-school items out there already, and it's like, whoa. Time is only picking up speed, so even though we have about 2-ish or so, 2 to 3 weeks, I'll say, maximum of a break before anything yellow, orange, or red pops up on National Hurricane Center, it's going to go fast. So take advantage while you can. Here's a look at our MJO forecast. So you can see here are the timestamps on the right-hand side. This is July 22nd. And notice we already have our green rising vertical, rising motion signals, or rising signals in general, beginning to populate from the East Pac into our Atlantic Basin. And as we roll towards the end of July and right into August, it is game time. That's when we come back into a very favorable setup to get everything working in unison. In my opinion, this is the last piece of the puzzle. We have a lot of our waters out there still hot. We didn't see too much in the way of upwelling. Our Saharan dust will begin to weaken. We're going to start seeing less and less plumes as we get to the end of this month, and especially the first week or two of August, and then it's all bets are off. This is it. MJO is going to come back in, and then from about July 22nd, truthfully, and forward, we're going to have to pay very, very, very close attention to our probabilities because we do not need another system sneaking up on us. There were some big channels out there, no shade or flack being thrown at them, but they set their viewers up for failure because they didn't have their eyes downrange. They didn't have their eyes on the long range, and they didn't pick up the signals until this thing was knocking on your door. So we need to get better. That's why I'm saying this is going to be a wonderful storm to take so many key lessons learned from and write a wonderful after-action report, as we call it in the military. We got our latest North American multi-model ensemble in, and now the NMME is still calling for a weak-ish La Nina as we get into the fall. So again, July, August, and early September, we are going to maintain that cool neutral Enzo, which is going to play a bit of a role in the way our steering pattern sets up. Remember, with El Nino, we had a very, very, very biased to the east sort of tropical impact. That's why everything was out to sea. We had Idalia sneak in under the radar, and then Harold was a very weak tropical cyclone that actually made landfall in Texas as well. Very weak, only a 40, 45 mile an hour tropical storm. So, yeah, but most of 2023 was categorized by our El Nino and all of our strong systems staying way out in the Atlantic. If you think about La Nina, way to the west. So if you kind of use your context clues, neutral is going to keep these Caribbean runners in the picture, and that's why I really think towards the end of July and through the month of August, we here in the Southeast are going to have to buckle up and maintain our head on a swivel, keep both of our eyes open day by day, update by update, because I really do think that August is going to be the month we see something coming at us here in the Southeast. You can see as we get closer into the winter time, that's when La Nina does more or less get cranking, kind of a weak to moderate La Nina, looking at -1 to -1.5 degrees Charlie of an anomaly. This may still be a bit of an over forecast. We'll have to see, but regardless, August and September are going to be classified by a neutral pattern, it really seems, and then maybe seeing a La Nina define itself as we get closer to the Halloween time, and especially for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and New Year's. Now, here's a look at our multi-model ensemble for the months of August and September. So once again, guys, this is what I'm saying. This is why I really want all of us to be paying attention, not only for our Lesser Antilles. You guys are still down there. You guys are still on the front lines. We have a long hurricane season ahead of us. We have a long hurricane season ahead of us, so we cannot drop our guard because, unfortunately, we went 12 rounds with a heavy hitter, a heavyweight contender like Beryl this early in the season. We have a couple more fights we got to get through more than likely, and then we are in the clear. But like I said, if you look, we still have some pretty anomalous precip activity for Central America, Texas, Louisiana, but if you're picking up what I'm putting down, I go back to July. See what I'm seeing here? I'm sure you guys are seeing the signals here. You go from July to August, and that signal just stays in place. Stays in place. The Lesser Antilles, the Greater Antilles, my Bahama friends, and the Southeast and the Mid-Atlantic. We got to have our eyes open as we tread lightly towards the end of this month and into August. And all I'm saying before you get mad and charge me in the comments is just be prepared. It's inevitable. It's what we are seeing, and the signals have been spot on, and all I'm doing is communicating the signals to you. I communicated these signals back in January, February, and March. You guys didn't like it. I mean, I know a lot of you did, but you know what I'm saying. Some people didn't like it. And here we are. We're realizing it. So unfortunately, it's only a matter of time before we're preparing and packing up for the next one. Oh, no. Yeah, Kevin, no. NOLA is not going to be out of the woods. Don't get me wrong. Like, if anything forms up in the Caribbean, again, if anything forms up out here or gets into the Caribbean, everybody, like I said with Beryl, needs to be paying attention. I just think we're going to have a bit of a greater bias, a small bias, maybe like a 20 to 30% greater bias towards this quadrant of the U.S. than where we sit right now with this quadrant of Central America, Mexico, and the U.S. Gulf Coast. Here's a look at our probabilities. So we are quiet everywhere. We have a couple of small signals. Pay those no mind. These are just very anomalous or erroneous signals. We have a bit of a low pressure that might drop off this front that's pulling Beryl up and try to spin up a weak low pressure down here. We'll have to see what happens. We might get a stamp. I'm not too sold on it. There's really not a whole lot of model agreement on it. So that's erroneous. This is going to be just our vorticity kind of coming off of Venezuela and Colombia. No major concern down there. But we are still seeing those signals as we approach the back end of July out there in the main development region. Notice from 120, 144, 168, and 192, they're gone until we get real into that latter half of July. So we got to watch very closely. And if you notice, on our EPS cyclone, our individual spaghetti plots, we are very quiet from July 10th all the way to July 20th. Until then, we start finally seeing some small little spaghetti plots out there in the MDR. You can see them right here. These are the small little signals. And I know that doesn't seem like much. It doesn't seem very, very much at all. But these are the little things I'm going to be peeking out and looking at as we go long range. It's those small couple of members that tell us forecasters where to look. Not saying we're going to see development by the 20th of July. Not saying that at all. Let me cover my butt. I'm not saying we're going to have another tropical system out there by July 20th or even just after that. All I'm saying is, if we go back to 0Z, there's nothing out there. Notice there's nothing out there but one random ensemble member. You go back to 12Z on the 6th, and there's definitely nothing out there at all. Nothing, period. Nada. Zippo. Zilch. Nothing expected. But then the signals, the same signals that led me to tracking what became 95L and now Beryl, are showing up at 0Z. We're starting to slowly but surely see the whispers, the hints, the breadcrumbs. That's all. So we'll have to start paying attention as we get towards the end of July. And if you notice already, unfortunately, the few couple of weak ensemble members that are out there are pushing it right west. So that's it. That's that. Here's a look at our current SST anomalies. We are still very warm out there. Don't let these anomalies here fool you. We have a ton of Saharan dust out there coming off, and as soon as that Saharan dust can get up out of there, we're going to see the temperatures rebound, maybe closer to normal, but we're still going to be warm enough to support lots of tropical cyclone activity. Don't get me wrong, okay, guys? The blue here is a sign of relief. That's also an indication that we're probably going to be fairly quiet over the next couple of weeks while that dust really works its way through, kind of kills off a lot of our thunderstorm activity for the Atlantic, any kind of wave activity. The ITCZ is going to calm down, and then slowly but surely, once the dust settles, literally in this case, we're going to start to see the temps go back up, and our precip activity is going to go back up as well. And if you look, right around the 10-degree latitude line, we still have more than enough water temps and ocean heat content for Genesis. It's just not going to happen right now. We have the mid and upper levels working against us. It takes more than the water temps, but we are still warm out there, so don't be lulled into that false sense of security. And here we go again. You know, we've been in that neutral pattern from beginning of May, and now we're working our way towards the middle part of July. La Nina is nowhere to be seen, so we need to take our long-range patterns to heart and more or less kind of gear ourselves up for what could be coming, a 2017, 2004 kind of setup. Not calling for the landfalls, not calling for the hurricanes, but what I'm saying is if anything does spin up, we'll have to use some of those analogs from those particular time frames to help us out looking that far into the future. And that's it, guys. That's all we got. Beryl is moving in. I wanted to keep this live update short and sweet. I know that traffic to the channel is going to start going down, and that's entirely okay. I'd rather you guys tune out of weather for a little while just to take a mental break. I wish I could, but I can't. I'm going to use this time to dial back on my content creation and really dig deep into my studying, my education, going through the rest of my summer semester and all my tropical studying that I've been doing behind the scenes, and kind of take down notes of lessons learned, and write my own little internal after-action report for Beryl. So we will continue to pump out content. I'll see you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As a matter of fact, just giving you the disclaimer right now, we are not doing a live stream or an update tomorrow. May throw out a YouTube short, I'm not sure, but we'll see you again for sure on Wednesday. So yeah, do I have any questions in the chat? Small intimate group once again this morning. That's A-OK. Please, for those of you in the chat, go ahead and give that like button a nudge. Let's try to get the algorithm back on our side once more. I'm honestly excited, guys. I'm very excited. I'm thankful that we get a break. I'm grateful that I can step back from the weather sphere, stop obsessing, looking at my phone all the time, and looking at forecasts. I'm excited to go back to just kind of studying and riding the status quo and getting ready for what's coming up next. So, yeah, that's all she wrote. I do appreciate everybody. Actually, as a matter of fact, I will go ahead and say that. We have a smaller, intimate group. I'm not sure how many people are going to watch this live stream after the fact. It's been a very, very emotional roller coaster studying this storm and forecasting with you guys, especially this early in the hurricane season. I got my feet wet last year with Idalia, and then the rest of the hurricane season was a lot more low threat. If you think about it, last hurricane season, we really weren't put to the test on this channel because we came to be during Idalia, and Idalia we did really good, but then that was it. We saw Tammy coming towards the Lesser Antilles, but Tammy was a close shave. Unfortunately for Barbuda, They got the direct hit, but everything else was out to sea. So it was definitely very taxing and very stressful going through this hurricane because of the fact that it was a long tracker early in the season. We went through the Windward Islands, through Jamaica, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Cayman Islands, parts of Cuba, the Yucatan, Mexico, Belize. We went all the way up through Mexico to Texas now, and it's been a whirlwind. But I graciously thank every single one of you guys out there who showed so much love and tremendous support, generosity to the channel as we rode this first storm out. I'd like to humbly pat myself on the back all the way through. We were kicking butt. We were kicking butt and taking names, chewing bubblegum and kicking butt, however that old saying goes. I'm ruining it now. But anyways, what I'm trying to say, guys, is we took a lot of heat and a lot of flack during this storm. I don't know why. I really don't know why, because I think we were a lot more conservative in our forecasting and a lot more accurate, not to toot my own horn, but we were a lot more accurate than... but we did. We took a lot of heat, and there's a lot of moments that really wore me out mentally and emotionally, but I'm very, very thankful for you guys. Very thankful for the flesh and blood and the veins of this channel. You guys make this community. I'm simply the brains, and like I've said before, you guys are the lifeline, the organs that keep the powerhouse running. And I'm so grateful for everybody who has been showing such wonderful support and all of you who keep drawing me back to this chair. Like I said, I don't know why we took so much flack. I think we were very conservative and we were very cut and dried with our forecasts. We nailed all the landfalls all the way up until the last one before Hurricane Center even adjusted their track. We nailed it, and I'm going to proudly praise God behind the scenes and, rest knowing that I gave you guys my all, and it came out on top. It came out wonderfully, and like I said, I'm going to go retreat behind the scenes, and I'm just going to keep learning and keep growing, so when we come back for the next one, we're even better and ready to rock and roll. So be safe out there, guys. We'll talk to you again very soon. If you're somehow watching this despite as low traffic of a stream we have, if you're brand new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe. The Weather Center is going to take good care of you. And we're going to get you through all that the rest of the hurricane season and whatever severe weather out there may bring your way. We got you through Beryl. Beryl has come and gone. We're finishing off the worst of it in Texas, and then we can put it behind us officially and look back in history. And, we will see what's next. Lovely break, lovely time to catch up on rest. If you guys don't want to tune in, I'm not going to be offended if you don't watch live streams, if you don't watch the random tropical updates. We will continue to go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll be talking to you here live and on my other social media platforms, and we're going to rejuvenate and recharge before August comes in, because in August and September, we're going to be rocking. I know it. We're going to be very busy. There's probably going to be live streams, daily live updates, videos daily, double live streams, etc., and so on. Sharon Tully, we love you too, for sure. Thanks, David. Hope everyone else in the chat has an awesome Monday. Twilight Firefly 100, thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you for all your hard work. As always, I've been watching since the start, just never caught a live stream until recently. April, I remember you mentioning that, and it's a pleasure having you joining us for sure. You're more accurate than all the news I watched. Susan M., I throw a salute at you. Thank you very much for that. And Mike, I agree. I guess people are, I don't know. PM messaged me behind the scenes, and he said that some people were kind of wish casting on this storm. Maybe they did want it to get stronger and be more of a Harvey, be more of this, but thankfully that's not what happened here. Godspeed, Naz. I like the late ones too. They're easier for me to see. Oh yeah, we'll probably go back to evening ones every now and again, and we'll see what happens. April Claremont, we should share past streams to show how accurate he is. I would love you guys for that. I don't expect it. I love the fact that you guys are willing to circulate the information. It would mean the world to me just to get that information out there, because I aspire to take as good of care of you guys as possible, and I hope that you guys see full-heartedly that I mean everything I say. We're going to get you through it, and we will do the very best to give you guys as accurate, a realistic, and reasonable forecast as possible. And like I said, without getting too religious, I thank the Lord that He's given me the capabilities of bringing you guys this information, and Lord willing, we can just extend it out to even more people. I'm not going to stop working hard, and we're going to take a lot of lessons learned from this storm, and we're just going to get better. We got a lot right with Beryl, but I know that there's still things in the background that I can review and jot down and take notes on to just get even better. We got to stay hungry. #stay hungry. and we're just going to continue to improve. Even if we feel we're great now, we're just going to get greater as we go through time. Yeah, Texas Reaper, like a lot of people, to tell you the truth. So thank you all very much. With that being said, I'm already going to wrap up the live stream and move on over to my other desk and start taking notes and start studying again. So yeah, not even joking. I'm going to really work on the memberships as well. I think I'm going to really work on the memberships here very soon, because I don't want to. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that for the lack of censorship. I mean, for the sake of censorship, I'm gonna work on the memberships and get those hopefully out to you guys while we're on this tropical break in between live streams and content. I'm going to build that up so then we can, nothing crazy, like a $2-3 monthly membership, so we can have our own intimate chats, have all of us genuine supporters, our own family, our community working together and talking behind the scenes, and then save the generalized live streams for when it matters most, just trying to get information out. No, I agree, PM. I definitely agree. Richard Worthen, excellent job, very good forecasting. You had it right all along. All that studying paid off, and we're going to keep studying. We're going to keep working. Like I said, I'm grateful. That's all I can say. I'm not proud. I'm grateful that we did as well as we did with this storm, because it helped people, and that's the bottom line. That's what this is all about, helping people and educating people and getting the information out. That's why it pains me sometimes that I see that there's folks who don't live by that same philosophy. And again, maybe it's my military side coming out, service before self and excellence in all we do. But anyways, thank you very much for watching this morning, guys. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great 4th of July holiday, wherever it is you be. If you're out in Texas right now facing the full extent of Beryl, it's going to be over within the next 12 to 18 hours, so hang tight, hold on, and we're going to get you through the rest of it. We will likely not see you tomorrow for a live stream. We will go ahead and go back to our Monday, Wednesday, and Friday structure as we go very low threat in the tropics. The weather pattern is going to be going very quiet for the next 2-ish or so weeks. Most of July is going to be very boring. Telling you that right now, but start tuning back in. If you're going to go on a hiatus from all weather, I don't blame you. I would recommend it, as a matter of fact. Stay away from updates, stay away from hype, stay away from everything tropics, because we don't really have much going on right now. It's not going to be any offense to me or anybody else, guys. So if you want to take your break, breathe, recover, recoup, and then come back later, I would honestly recommend putting on your calendar July 15th-ish, give or take. July 15th is a Monday, so we will have our Monday morning live stream on July 15th. I'd recommend, if you're going to come back to this channel, July 15th, tune in for our 9 a.m. or maybe our 8 p.m. Tropics Talk. That's probably when we're going to have something more definitive to lock in and start discussing. But between now and then, let's go ahead and enjoy the quietness and just take a mental break. If you have any additional questions, comments, or concerns, drop me a comment in the comment section below, or please reach out to me on my other Weather Center Nazario social media, Instagram, X, TikTok. Happy to get back to you guys. Just please don't go spreading all that personal crap like somebody did. I still can't believe that, and it still emotionally hurts that somebody is going as far as to do that kind of garbage. It's a shame. And on a weather channel too. I don't get it. What did I do? Did I poop in your scrambled eggs or something like that? But anyways, Superchars, I don't blame you. I definitely do not blame you. But yes, Sharon, to answer your question, there will be membership tiers. I still need to finish activating them. I started the process, but I didn't finish rolling them out. I have different categories of memberships. And essentially all that is you'll get specialty content from me. I'm trying to work out the kinks on what I want to do. And but it'll be a very low threat, or inexpensive membership, just so we can start having more privatized conversations and whatnot. But yeah, I really do not blame you guys. We're still going to keep doing our Monday, Wednesday, Friday stuff, but I do not blame you if you decide to back up from weather. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right back where you found me as soon as we get more into the July month and start approaching August. So, yeah, that's all she wrote, guys. We'll see you again very soon. If you have any additional questions, like I said, leave them in the comments. I will get back to you as soon as I can. But until next time, we'll see you Wednesday. This is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.